Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Starlance Penny39, and today I'm coming to you guys with the Gemini Jets and Phoenix models, as well as JC Wings, February 2016 releases. So I'm going to be going through the ones that I find surprising, ones that I basically expected, ones that I'm quite interested in, etc. And yeah, so before I start this video, I just want to apologize for not making really any videos for about a month now. So I know I made that 2016 expectations video. I said I'd have a little bit of time at that moment to be making some model airport videos. I did make a few, but recently I've been to be honest, it was a little bit of everything. Last week I was really sick. The week before that I was on a trip. And during that entire period, I've just had a lot of schoolwork, so it didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to, and I've always been forgetting to be uploading these videos. It's really just been getting on my nerves, but I have made a couple of model airport updates, including Raleigh-Durham, and I'm currently in the process of making the Albany, New York model airport. So, anyways, I'm going to be going through these releases, and we're going to be starting off with the United Airlines 737-800 with split scimitars. So, dubbed the 737-800S. Not really sure if that's what we're going to call it now, but obviously the S is standing for scimitars. Anyways, I'm certainly a fan of this model. I'm a United Airlines fan, and I always like to keep growing in my collection. I do have a pretty large one at the moment. I only have a few 738s, however. I kind of focus more on 739s, so I would like to get some more 738s, and hopefully I'll be getting those soon enough. But yeah, certainly good, and hopefully I can get some of these in the future. Next we have the Pan Am 737-200. This one, as you can see, is polished. Generally, Gemini Jets does this when you have part of the aircraft that is kind of all silver or metal, in which case you can polish the aircraft off. And all in all, looking at this aircraft and the amount of detail that Gemini Jets has put into their Boeing, as well as Airbus narrow bodies, has certainly increased and very comparable to Phoenix models' detail, which are really the leaders in detail in terms of smaller details on an aircraft, including antennas, etc. So Gemini's done a good job on this. This is obviously in the Pan Am livery. Certainly a fan of it. Certainly a nice classic and vintage aircraft. Up next we have the Aeromexico MD-80, another bit of a vintage aircraft. Aeromexico doesn't operate this livery anymore. I don't think they operate MD-80s anymore either. But yeah, anyways, here we have the Aeromexico MD-80. Don't really have any comment on this. Not really interested in it myself, but yeah, it looks like a fine model to me. Next we have the Philippine Airlines A330-300. I do like to see more Philippine Airlines aircraft. Certainly not a problem with this one. Also another 1-400, good detail as you can see. And the Philippine Airlines livery looks, it's average. Not really that special of an aircraft. For myself, I'm not going to be too interested in that one. And next we have the Emirates A380. Obviously, whenever Emirates introduces a new livery onto their A380s, such as World Cup liveries, etc., this one is the, I think it says on the, over here it says United for Wildlife. I haven't really researched as to what the point of this livery is, but you can see you've got mammals, animals going on here, making this sort of wildlife kind of livery. Certainly looks pretty interesting. Certainly a fan of it. And apparently this is the second one they've made based on the title that says Wildlife 2. Now up next we have our first 1-200. So the way that these models are sorted out on Facebook are a little scattered, so we'll probably go back to some 1-400s later. But as for now, we have the British Airways 777-300ER 1-200 scale. Love to see more 333s on 1-200 scale. I think the 333 is one of the most beautiful aircraft, really, out there, and I'd love to see it in 1-200 scale. And it's huge. Like the 748, I mean, because that's the world's longest aircraft, that would be absolutely humongous as well. So I love seeing these really big heavies in 1-200 scale. I think it looks like really amazing. Sadly, it's a pretty basic livery, but in my opinion, I do like the British Airways livery on a 333. So certainly a fan of this model. Next we have the Qantas 737-800 with the retro livery. This one's called the Retro Roo. This is the second one of the type. I believe we already saw the first one. And I believe this was released in 1-400 scale as well by Gemini Jets. But here's the 1-200 scale version where it says Australia's overseas airline on the fuselage. We have Qantas next to that. And then a sort of a red stripe that goes around it. Qantas on the tail as well to have this retro looking aircraft. Looks pretty nice. Next we have the Allegiant A320, another 1-200 scale aircraft. I don't believe this has been released yet, so I don't know, more Allegiant, not really complaining. Up next we have the Delta A319 on 1-200 scale. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of Delta aircraft. Probably on average there always will be at least one Delta, normally one American aircraft, and nowadays there's always at least one Emirates aircraft and one United aircraft pretty much every month, so yeah, this is just adding to that, I guess. Next we have the Qatar Airways 777-300ER This is just a normal Qatar Airways livery. To be honest, the Qatar Airways livery is kind of growing on me. I do like their livery, the solid gray. I like the kind of maroon color that they have for the Qatar logo. Certainly a fan of that. And once again, at 1/200 scale, love seeing these big aircraft. I think that would look very amazing, and probably has some really great details as well. Up next, we have the 747-800 of Lufthansa in the standard Lufthansa livery. So yeah, we already saw this with the retro livery, which looked absolutely fantastic, and certainly not complaining here to see a normal one. I'm sure that a lot of people would have certainly asked for this. So yeah, they're getting what they asked for, and certainly looks like a very nice model. Next, we have the Monarch Airlines A320, so now we're back to the 1/400s. As you can see, this one has sharklets. I would say Monarch is growing as an airline. I know they got a bunch of sharklets along with a lot of other low-cost carriers, sorry. And yeah, Gemini Jets is trying to keep up with that and always releasing some Monarch aircraft every now and then. And next, we have a Delta Connection CRJ200 in 1/400 scale. So this was one of the most surprising releases this month. And like I've said for the past couple months of this, not really a series, but just talking about these new models every month, or kind of a February talk, January talk, you know. I always have said it's a really big surprise that Gemini Jets keeps going with these regional models and keeps releasing more regionals, especially with some U.S. carriers, some very legacy U.S. carriers such as Delta, United, and American Eagle. So very surprised here. We haven't seen a CRJ200 in a very long time. I'm certainly going to be getting this model as quick as I can, and certainly just a good release in my opinion. And next we have the Gol 737-800. This one once again in 1/200 scale, and this is in the classic, not the classic, sorry, vice versa in their new livery. We got a little bit of metal, a little bit of kind of silver coloring to go with the orange as well. Overall, looks like a pretty attractive aircraft in my opinion, so I'm happy with that model. And then we're back to the start. So overall, Gemini Jets release is pretty good. Certainly interested in a couple of them, and certainly some surprises out there as well. Next to the Phoenix models releases. So first of all, starting off with the 1/400s, we have the Sichuan Airlines A320. No sharklets on this one, just a standard A320. Pretty typical from Phoenix models, I suppose. Next, we have the Qatar 747-8. Now, I did not see this aircraft coming at all, to be honest, especially this quick, because it was only recently that Qatar started operating the 748, and I've seen a couple photos on it on Airliners.net. But overall, I think this aircraft would look really freaking nice. I think overall this is a absolutely fantastic model. I love the Qatar Airways livery. I think this would be amazing to just to fly on, especially because it's the Amiri flight, which I believe is Qatar's sort of private kind of airline, in which case they kind of transport people who really can't be bothered to fly their normal first class or anything, and don't have a private jet, so they decide to fly Qatar Amiri flight from Doha to certain destinations. Usually it's an A319, however, or an A330, sorry. But yeah, now we see the 748 as well, certainly looking very luxurious. Next we have the Etihad A340-500. I believe Etihad stopped using this aircraft recently. Anyways, it does have the special kind of Formula 1 titles on it. So that's really the main thing about it. Box looks pretty cool, as Phoenix models usually does, and it's in 1/400 scale. Next we have another 1/400. This is the Turkish Airlines A321 with the Discover the Potential livery. Didn't even know this livery existed, to be honest. I had to do a little bit of research on it. It's really nice. I think overall, the amount of detail that certainly Turkish Airlines has put on this livery and the amount of detail that Phoenix models will put on it will look very, very nice. I would certainly trust them to do a really great job on this, and I just really love the look of it. So if you can grab this model, I would certainly recommend it. Next we have the Fiji Airways A330-300. Didn't see this one coming at all. I was aware that Fiji Airways was using the A330-300 sometime in the future. However, I did have to refresh myself, and they will be using this aircraft from Nadi over to LA, which will be replacing their -200 service, as well as, I believe, to a couple of New Zealand and Australian destinations. So yeah, they're clearly upgrading their fleet a little bit. And overall, I think Fiji Airways is a nice, kind of casual carrier. And yeah, I kind of like their livery as well. They have a really great tail. Next we have the Cebu Pacific A320 with sharklets. Yeah, I mean, there's always, most likely, I mean, especially from Phoenix models, there's always going to be some Cebu Pacific aircraft. I think we've seen a couple of A330s recently. So yeah, just to add to that, we see an A320 with sharklets. Up next, the 1/200 scale. Now, I was really hoping we'd see this in 1/400. To be honest, about a year ago, Phoenix Models did release this aircraft in 1/400 scale as a secret release, and no one really knew about it. Only a few people got it for like 60 euros. Very expensive at the time. But yeah, no one can really get their hands on that model now. But hopefully we will see this model again, and it is the Swiss 777-300DR standard livery, and as you can see, Phoenix Models has released this in 1/200 scale. So once again, this month we're seeing another 333 in 1/200 scale, looking fantastic, I would say. It's really an amazing aircraft. I've seen the first class on it, looks a luxurious business, fantastic. And certainly I'd love to fly on this aircraft in real life for a long distance destination, but I think as a model, it's going to look fantastic, and certainly can't wait for the 1/400 hopefully. Up next we have the China Eastern A340-600 with the Expo 2010 livery. This one's in 1/200 however, so I believe, yeah, either Phoenix Models or Gemini Jets has released this aircraft in 1/400 previously. So I think this is one of the first that we've seen it in 1/200 scale. It's from a main model manufacturer. So very interesting. Certainly a fan of this aircraft, I'd say. Very kind of attractive livery. Up next, to add on to the 1/400 scale version of this, we see the 1/200 Qatar Airways Amiri Flight 747-8. I bet that aircraft in 1/200 scale would look very, very nice. And up next, we have the Air China 747-8 in 1/400 scale. I believe we already saw this aircraft by Gemini Jets, and yeah, I guess Phoenix Models is just following along with that. Certainly a fan of this aircraft, however, I will try to get my hands on this as quick as possible. I do need to replace my Air China fleet, so yeah, and this aircraft's going to be doing a lot of services to the US. And up next we have the Singapore Airlines 777-300ER in 1/400 scale. Bit of a surprise, not too many Singapore Airlines releases from Phoenix Models nowadays, but yeah, very happy with this one. I'm sure the detail on it, as usual with Phoenix, they do a fantastic detail on their 777s, so certainly one of the most amazing models, and obviously love the SQ livery. Next we have the Hainan Airlines Dreamliner-8. So I remember last month we saw the A340-600s, 3 of them. So even more, Hainan Airlines clearly going to be a big consumer of Phoenix Models and just continuing on to make more of their models. And this one's in 1/400 scale as well. Up next we have the Edelweiss A320 1/400. Pretty good model. I wasn't actually aware that Edelweiss was actually flying domestically. I thought they were really just a subsidiary of Swiss doing long-haul, low-cost flights like Vegas, Montreal, stuff like that from Zurich. But yeah, I'm sure they'd be a pretty good carrier to fly low-cost to go with German wings and carriers like that. Up next we have the Saudi Arabian 789 in 1/400. Pretty typical aircraft. Don't really have much of a comment on this one. Not really too interested in it. Next we have the Etihad A380 in 1/400. So Gemini already released this aircraft, and we have Phoenix Models just following on. Looks like a very, very interesting box. Looks pretty nice. Overall, I think the Etihad livery looks pretty nice on that as well. Up next we have the Chongqing Airlines. Not really sure how to pronounce that. No sharklets on this one. Standard A320. Just another Asian carrier, typical from Phoenix Models. And we're back to the Sichuan Airlines. So overall, I think Phoenix Models, compared to Gemini Jets, pretty equal. I do love both of the manufacturers' releases this month. I think we do have a couple of specials, a couple of ones that I certainly need to get as quick as possible, and just a few of the typicals and a few surprises as usual. Up next with JC Wings. So the reason I wanted to bring out JC Wings is because they've released a couple of very, very interesting models. So first of all, we have the 1/400 JC Wings British Airways 777-200. Not big of a surprise there. Cargolux 747-8. That's a very good model. It has a bit of a special livery on it as well. Cathay Pacific A330 and a Cathay Pacific A350. All in the new Cathay Pacific livery. Up next, we have the Cathay Pacific Cargo 747-400. All of these in 1/400 scale, by the way. We have another Cargo. This one's the -8 in the standard Cathay Pacific livery, the one that they have now. So there's 4 Cathay Pacific livery aircraft. 4 Cathay Pacific aircraft just there. JC Wings is certainly up front in getting the newest aircraft out there as quick as they can. Up next with the China Southern 333 in the SkyTeam livery. A couple of Asian carriers, Pakistan Airlines. Then the biggest surprise I found was 2 SAS Scandinavian Airlines aircraft. First the A330-300 and the A340-300. Now we have not seen any SAS wide bodies in a very long time. I know SAS, I believe, has ordered a couple of A350s, so hopefully we can see those as well, but definitely a very big surprise, and I certainly will be getting the A330-300 as quick as I can, and certainly one of the great models out there. So yeah, that's about it for this month, guys. Overall, good releases from all 3 manufacturers. Those are the main leaders in the model manufacturing business, I suppose. Hopefully I'll be able to keep this as a series. Going to be trying to upload as many model airport videos as I can. I do have some very big announcements coming up soon as well, so just stay tuned for that. I'm always on Instagram as well, liking people's photos, etc. So I'm never really inactive. I'm never really dead. Just always looking at people's photos, and just sometimes don't really have anything to post myself. But thanks very much, guys, for watching this video if you've watched it this long, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.